While everyone's waiting for this disturbance to become a tropical storm, these storms behind it could become something way bigger, potentially heading towards the Caribbean and even the US in the next couple of weeks. Or not. I'm going to show you what that's all about, but first, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more weather updates. So here's a look at the NHC right now. There are two areas to watch. We did have Tropical Storm Dexter a couple days ago. That has actually become a post-tropical cyclone and is out of the picture, but we have two areas to watch in the Atlantic right now. We have this disturbance off the southeastern U.S. It has a 20% chance of becoming a tropical system in the next 7 days. The chances have actually gone down since a couple days ago. So this doesn't have a good chance of becoming a tropical system before it really becomes more of a post-tropical system. But this is the big area that everybody's watching for potential development. In the tropical Atlantic, we have Invest 96, a tropical wave over the central Atlantic is pretty disorganized, and now development is not expected during the next day or two, but it is expected to become more favorable in a few days. And so a tropical depression could form early next week from this. But yeah, this is that disturbance that the NHC is looking at. But then there's actually several other tropical waves behind it that are way more intense. Here's a look at the Atlantic. You can see over West Africa, you have two very powerful tropical waves moving over West Africa, and they're going to be moving out into the tropical Atlantic, and they could become a bigger, more significant system at some point. This one out in front is actually getting pretty much eliminated by all that dry air. On satellite imagery, you can see there's not really much with Invest 96 in terms of shower and thunderstorm activity, and it's pretty dry. But since it isn't Invest, there are forecast models on it, and it's not really expected to do much. There aren't even all of the models on it. If it survives all that dry air, it could become a weak tropical depression or tropical storm somewhere out in the Atlantic, but it is actually expected to turn out to sea and not impact any land areas. The intensity guidance, the few models that we do have, do bring it to tropical storm intensity, some of them at least, by around 3 days, and then most of them do think it's going to become a tropical storm by around 4 to 7 days is when it could actually strengthen into a tropical storm. So Invest 96 isn't really going to do much, but what's behind it is where things get interesting. Here's what we have on the GEFS ensemble. You could see Invest 96 moving out to sea and staying a pretty weak system over the next few days, and that pretty much disappears. But notice there's a pretty intense signal for tropical activity around Cape Verde. Already by August 11th, early on Monday, we could have a pretty significant tropical depression according to the GEFS ensembles. They keep this together and actually organize it pretty quickly next week when this disturbance could get going. And then by the time we get to early on Friday, August 15th, it's already coming towards the Caribbean. Now, then this is where the ensembles start to fan out. Some actually do keep this one a fish storm also and keep it out to sea. Others actually move it into the Caribbean. So there's a wide area where this could end up going. But this is Saturday, August 16th, and then some of the models do take it more towards Florida and the Bahamas, and then others keep it out to sea, maybe even impacting Bermuda, though. And then this is where it kind of gets interesting. The two main tracks are taking it either into the Gulf or out closer to Bermuda and fans out from there, but it does show a pretty intense storm system with this tropical wave that's up next. Here's a look at the GFS model showing Invest 96 stays pretty weak, but then here's our big tropical wave already there by early next week. Actually, a pretty decent tropical system. The NHC will probably add another area to watch behind Invest 96 for this tropical wave in the next day or so, probably, if the models keep showing this situation. And we have already by August 15th, a 989 millibar hurricane moving towards the Caribbean, and it keeps intensifying, going all the way down to 972 millibars. This is the latest run of the GFS, and the GFS has been showing some extreme scenarios that haven't actually happened, even showing a Category 4 hurricane out of Invest 96, which isn't doing much of anything, but it is showing that the potential for tropical development is increasing as we go through August. But this does show just north of the Caribbean a Category 3 hurricane, maybe even a Category 4 hurricane, and it just keeps intensifying all the way down to 937 millibars, and then it turns it and smashes it into the Carolinas by Friday, August 22nd, but that's 2 weeks out. So this is not a forecast. This is just kind of an extreme scenario from the GFS model. But in terms of the activity, this next tropical wave looks significantly more intense than Invest 96. So that's why the forecast models are painting some extreme scenarios with this one. And this is the Euro model showing even potentially a tropical depression or a tropical storm by August 15th with this. So this is a bit later. The GFS model is turning this into a tropical storm, a hurricane really quickly. Now, the Euro model isn't. It's showing maybe a weak tropical depression or tropical storm 8 or 9 days out. So there's a bit of uncertainty there, but the chances that this does turn into something are actually increasing. And then here's what happens. This goes north of the Caribbean. So the Euro model is showing it in the same exact place as the GFS model. So that's showing a little bit of consistency there, and it's intensifying it down to a 969 millibar hurricane, slamming into Florida. And then after that, the Euro model is not showing any other tropical waves, even though there are several tropical waves lined up over West Africa that could end up doing something in the next couple weeks. But they are taking this main tropical wave that's coming up next, basically the one right behind Invest 96L, and turning it into something significant. The reason why Invest 96 has been pretty much destroyed, one thing, is because of the dry air. And you can see there's a lot of dry air over the tropical Atlantic, even going into the Caribbean. But then notice this next tropical wave has a lot more moisture with it, but it plows straight into the dry air. Interestingly enough, the dry air actually thins out on the GFS model. Now, we'll have to see if it's able to organize quick enough and not get destroyed by all the dry air. It could actually do this. It could turn into a very significant tropical storm or even a hurricane. Then the GFS is not showing any other tropical waves behind this, showing just more dry air returning later in August across the Atlantic. But another thing is also the wind shear is a slight problem for Invest 96L. Since it's going more to the north, it's actually running into some more wind shear from this upper level trough over the central part of the Atlantic. But then it looks like some of those upper level winds could become a little more favorable as it turns further north early next week. But then we have very favorable upper level winds and pretty much no shear over this disturbance behind it on the GFS model, showing only 5 knots of wind shear. And there was actually another sounding that showed like 2 knots of wind shear. So that's nothing. Basically, then we get an upper level high pressure system over this tropical system, and that could really turn it into a rapidly intensifying storm, according to the GFS model. We'll have to see what happens with this storm. But it is an area to watch, because it looks like, yeah, Invest 96 is not going to do much of anything, but then the one behind it is the one to watch that could have some more potential if everything lines up correctly for it. And guess what? The Climate Prediction Center is watching it too. So this isn't just an extreme scenario from the GFS model, the hurricane hitting Florida or the Carolinas. That part is, but a storm possibly developing and moving into the Caribbean, that's definitely possible. And the Climate Prediction Center is watching it too. For August 13th to 19th, they have a 40 to 70% chance of tropical development approaching the Caribbean, and then a 20 to 40% chance in the northeastern Caribbean, and then another area behind it with a 20 to 40% chance of tropical development over Cape Verde. And then for week 3, August 20th to 26th, they're watching another area where we could see a potential tropical system out there in the tropical Atlantic. So things are heating up, and there are a lot of warm sea surface temperatures. We have the main development region actually isn't super warm, only around 80 degrees, maybe even 79 degrees, which is not favorable. But basically, as we go further west, then things start to heat up. So even if it doesn't develop out here in the tropical Atlantic, as soon as it starts going west, that's where it could be a problem. And sea surface temperatures are like 84 degrees, 85, 86, even going all the way up into the upper 80s, 87 to almost 90 degrees in some places. So the Atlantic is definitely very warm, and that's part of the reason why these forecast models are thinking that whatever storm system goes into the Caribbean or goes into the southwestern Atlantic will be able to just rapidly intensify with these type of sea surface temperatures and a lot of moisture and very low wind shear. We'll be able to see a lot of rapidly intensifying storm systems. Now, the only thing that might be a problem for tropical development is the MJO. It is favorable over the next few days, over the eastern part of the tropical Atlantic and also Africa, so getting those tropical waves organized. And it does stay favorable all the way out till August 14th or so, it looks like. But then we start seeing later, after like August 17th, going all the way into August 23rd, really, it's getting more and more unfavorable over the Atlantic, the Eastern Pacific especially, but also the tropical Atlantic with a lot of sinking air, so that's actually unfavorable for tropical systems. And we're seeing more of the favorable conditions more over like Indonesia and Australia. So that's going to be something to watch for the next couple weeks, because the MJO can help or hurt tropical systems. But things are definitely heating up as we go through August, and that makes sense just based on climatology. As we go through August, there's that steep increase in hurricanes and tropical storms as we go into the peak part of the hurricane season. So that's kind of what is out there to watch in the tropics. So thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please be sure to hit that like button, share the video, comment below, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more tropical weather updates. Thanks for watching. Extreme Weather Zone, out.